Welcome to yet another edition of the High School Football Roundup podcast, October 3rd, 2017. Walter Johnson. This week's edition of the High School Football Roundup podcast, and I'm going to talk about for the teams in the Southwest Georgia Network coverage area as far as making the playoffs or postseason play. So not a whole lot of time to waste. A good place to start would be in Leesburg, Georgia. But for the Lee County Trojans, for Lee County so far, going 7-0, best start ever for the Lee County program. 7-0 on the season. And aside from a come from behind win over Mary Persons out of Forsyth, Georgia, 21-17. Corky Kill, Macon, Georgia, back on Thursday, August 17th. And Lee County's basically dominated all their opponents. Basically dominated all the opponents they played so far, winning 38-13 over Bainbridge in their home opener. The first of 4 straight home games for Lee County. September 1st, 6 over Hardaway, and then dominated American Sumter team, and more on the Panthers later. And on September 15th, they won easily over Luella in Henry County, east of Atlanta, 57-7, and then traveled to Thomasville, Georgia on September 22nd over Thomas County Central, 49-0. In week, Friday, September 29th, to Warner Robins, Georgia, and shut out Houston County 34-0. And Lee County has now held their opponents scoreless for 11 straight quarters. And that's amazing. And in their 34-0 win over Houston County last week, quarterback Jace Orndorff and completed 19 out of 25 passes for 388 yards and 3 touchdowns. And wide receiver Ty Terrell had 6 catches for 136 yards and 1 touchdown. Jeremiah Ingram is yards and 2 scores, and he had second straight shutout. And the Trojans from Leesburg are off this week. And will be on Friday the 13th, or Friday, October 13th, Warner Robins. Trojan Field in Leesburg, the north side of Warner Robins, has won 5 in a row since losing their opener to side of Warner Robins. Will open GHSA Region this Friday, playing host to Valdosta. Class 6A champs, 2-4 overall. 14 made that 44-14, 41-14 over Thomas County Central last weekend. So that's let's see how this north side of Warner Robins squad will fare. Opening up GHSA Region 1-6A play. Thursday night game last week, north side of Warner Robins pitched a shutout against perennial Class Single A Public School Power, 23-0. And so it'll be interesting to see how this Lee County team fares. How the Warner Robins team fares against Macon County. But back to Lee County momentarily. The Trojans earlier and pretty much dominated every opponent except one, except for Mary Persons in the season opener. gets much tougher for Lee County rest of the season. Hosting Northside of Warner Robins Friday, October 13th, and then traveling to Valdosta. Lee County's never those teams. To see how this Lee County team fares against Mission. Against the team like North, especially against the perennial powerhouse like the North Side of Warner Robins. Against a team that lost just once all season long down to Valdosta to face a Wildcats program that struggled in its defense of the GHSA Region GHSA Class 6A State Championship, the 24th, 25th in school history. And then after another bye week to round out October in regular season at home against Coffee. And Coffee's won lost back-to-back games after a 3-0 start. Lost 33-31 at Tift County this week, and they gave Warner Robins all it can handle before losing 52-49. Another high-scoring game. The word for those last-second losses, Coffee would Lee County and being undefeated. It's being the only undefeated team in GHSA Region 16A going into region play. And Coffee's off until Friday the 13th as well, opening Region 16A action at Houston County. And I'm going to move on to Region 14A. And they're all alone in sole possession of first place in GHSA Region 14A, 4-2 overall. Region at 3-0. There's a 31-15. First region loss in nearly 2 years for the Serve Makers. And the Serve Makers with the loss dropped to 3-3 overall. Four-way tie for second place. Region 1 and Region 4A at 2-1. It's in America Sumter. It's been an amazing run for the Panthers under head coach Eric Solanday, and they went 1-2 in their non-region contest, losing their opener at home to Crisp County. Perennial, I wouldn't say perennial powerhouse just yet, but the Panthers did get their arch rivals, the Cougars, from Cordial, all they can handle before losing 18. 25th, and then a week later on Labor Day weekend, Friday, September 1st, rolled past Dooley County, 33-14, and then fell to Lee County, 49-14, and so, I mean, it's not like America Sumter's lost to some slouch teams. Lee County still stuck at number 2 in Class 6A, according to the Georgia High School Football Daily Newsletter at ghsfdaily.com. And this is also the Atlanta Journal-Constitution poll. And Lee County is also number 1, according to the Georgia Sports Writers Association, within Class 6A. And Crisp County fell from number 4 to number 8 in the GHSF Daily poll after losing to Brooks County on the road last week. And later, as far as the region games, it's over. America Sumter has been undefeated so far. Westover at Hugh Mills Stadium in Albany, 21-0 on 15th, and then upset the Columbus team that came in at 4-0, defeated at 4-0, but the Panthers pulled off the upset 21-15. Then last week's win over Cairo, 31-15, and right now that the America Sumter's in the driver's seat in GHSA Region 1-4A. It's the Panthers' region title to lose as of right now. And was in all 8 teams in GHSA Region 1-4A this week. So, and before looking at the Panthers' remaining schedule, and this is what's coming up for America Sumter. The America Sumter Panthers' remaining schedule. You look at the standings in GHSA Region 1-4A. America Sumter in play first place at 3-0, and they're 4-2 overall. And then north side of Columbus, the 4 teams is tied for second place in the region. And north side of Columbus, sitting at 5-1 overall, with their only loss to coming to America Sumter. The second team at 2-1 in the region is 3-3 overall. Same thing for Hardaway and Carver Columbus. Won back-to-back region games, starting 0-4. Region wins of Westover and they've and the Tigers have also defeated and route Thursday, September 28th, and then standings, Region 1-4A standings, both sit at 0-2 in region play and winning 4 overall, and Westover and sitting in last place at 0-3 in the region and 2-4 overall. More on Westover in a moment. Winning games for America Sumter. Panthers return to action, playing host to Shaw on Friday the 13th, Friday, October 13th. Then they'll head to Columbus. Back-to-back road games in the Fountain City. Hardaway on Thursday, October 19th. We're back in Columbus, and 9 days later for a Saturday contest against Columbus High. And then they'll wrap up the regular season at home against Carver Columbus. So it sets up so the remaining schedule sets up quite nicely for the Panthers. Possibly run the table in the rest of the season. Take care of business and win the remaining 4 games. Reason why that program can't come away with a region championship. Winning that first region game can do wonders. When you win that first region contest, cannot be underestimated. And I think America Sumter won that first region game on the road against the Westover team. They came in at 2-1 overall, and it can't be underestimated. And you see, like the Panthers have on the road, open region play. Followed up with a close upset win over Northside Columbus, and then a pretty power in Cairo. before moving on to Westover, and then that 31-15 win over Panthers' first ever win over Surf Makers. 6 tries. That's very tremendous. Now move on to Westover. And the Westover Patriots it's just really been struggling, and seeing points have been hard to come by. 3 games, all region contests, being shut out by America Sumter 21-0 on September 15th, and then going to Columbus, ending Carver of Columbus, their first win. Shutout loss for the Patriots from Albany this week on September 29th, Friday, September 29th. They fell to Hardaway, the 6, the final score. Struggle for Westover so far in 2017. And the Patriots scored 69-6 contest so far. Throw in the Patriots 21-6 loss back on August 25th. And seemed like didn't seem like that long ago. Westover lost to Monroe. Then Westover has given up 91 points while scoring only 12 in their 2 wins of 35-28 at Pelham in their season opener on August 18th, and 40-13 rout of Dougherty on September 8th. Patriots have outscored their opponents 75-1 in their 2 wins. They've been outscored 90-12 in their 4 losses. And I've said this before in previous podcasts. Then when Westover is scoring a lot of points, they usually win games. When they're not putting up the points, the result is completely different. And seeing the Patriots, like the other teams in GHSA Region 1-4A, and head coach David Jones and company will be using that bye week to try to strong. So it doesn't get any easier for Westover once they do come back from that bye. Road games. And so Westover will be spending the rest of the month on the road. Columbus on October 13th. Cairo on the 20th, and then Thursday, October 26th. Wrap up the month against Shaw, and then regular season finale against North Side of Columbus. Battle of the Patriots. The bottom line for Westover is this: and the Patriots, if they have any shot making the playoffs, the table. I mean, there's no 2 ways about it. If Westover has any chance of making the playoffs, advancing have any chance of advancing the first postseason play for the first time since 2014. Georgia Bulldog defensive lineman Trent Thompson, and they're going to have to run the table, win the rest of their games. That I mean, they're also going to have to have a lot of. You're also going to have to get a lot of help along the way. Hope the teams stumble down the stretch. That's definitely asking. And then even if they do run the table, win the rest of their games to go finish finished Region 1 4A play at 4-3 and 6-4 overall. And they would still have to win. You still have to be on the good side of any tiebreakers that might come there. They might run into. So that's a huge task. And how about Cairo? And Cairo's Region 1 remaining schedule, region play in the serve makers. Columbus to take on Carver. That could be a huge. Obviously, that's a huge game with a postseason implications on the 20th, and then the serve makers will go back to Columbus to face Northside, and then return home on November 3rd to face Columbus High. The serve maker season could be decided by what happens in these last 4 games for that team. So obviously, if the playoffs were to begin right now, Westover could either be seeded maybe as high as second. Seated no higher than second place. Maybe they could win the region title, depending on what happens with America Sumter the rest of the way. We could be seated at that. The Lakers could either be seated 2 or number 3 or number 4, or outside looking in. Like I said, a lot of football left to be played. Long way to go. In Westover, if the season ended right now, the Patriots from Albany, you can find them obviously around the outside looking in. In a playoff, berth of and obviously out of the question at this point for Westover. On the other hand, and shot at advancing to the playoffs, or at least the winner of this week's game between the Dougherty Trojans and Monroe Tornadoes have a definite shot at and the taste of the postseason. And speaking of the season, and Monroe comes in at 1-4 overall. Just like Westover struggled to score points. Never mind win games. And both Monroe and Dougherty have been in the same boat. And he's on August 25th with a 21-6 win over Westover. And then it's been downhill for head coach Charles Truitt and company ever since. And on September 1st, the Tornadoes traveled to Thomasville, Georgia, and left with a 45-7 loss to the Thomasville Bulldogs. The Tornadoes fell 32-33 to Thomas County Central in a high-scoring game on September 22nd. They cruised to a 9-0 win down in Quitman, Georgia on September 29th. Last Friday, the Tornadoes gave Berrien all they could handle before losing 13-10. And escaped with a 3-point win in Nashville, Georgia. County. And Monroe taking on Dougherty. Monroe coming in at 1-4, and Dougherty coming in at 1-5. And win. And so far, the slate for Monroe, I should say, just Corey Joyner opening the season on the road with a tough 29-28 loss in County, August 26th, Saturday night. Won in the closing seconds, 18-14, and straight losses for the Trojans from East Albany since then, losing a heartbreaker in contest to Berrien, which I just mentioned about a couple of minutes ago, 14-7, or 13 to Westover Hugh Mills Stadium, September 8th. And then in another Saturday night game, they lost to Spencer out of Columbus, Georgia, 26-13. In the game that was rescheduled to Saturday, September 16th, due to the lingering effects of Tropical Storm Irma, which was landfall earlier last month, around September 10th, and then September 28th, the Perry Panthers rolled to a 49-8 win. Some points have been and points have been hard to come by for Dougherty, and then and the most points they scored have been 28 points. The most points they've given up, 49. Struggling, and the points have been and Dougherty's been struggling to put points on the board. When it comes, and you look at looking at the overall series between Dougherty and Monroe, series all the way back to 1968. And the Trojans took the first meeting over the Tornadoes, winning 18-0. Under Luther Welsh, who has since moved on to coach at Thompson, helped lead that program in East Georgia, about an hour west of Augusta, to a few state championships. Luther Welsh coached at Dougherty from the beginning of that program in right up until retiring in 1982. Dougherty won the all-time series. Dougherty leads the all-time series, 28-18, with just one tie. And then last year's meeting, Dougherty won last year's meeting over Monroe, 28-14. And despite going just 2-7 overall and 1-3 in Region 1 AAA play last year, it was that one win over Monroe helped them into the playoffs for the first time since 2008. The Trojans finished 6-5 last year. To play, and the Trojans fell to LaGrange first round of the state playoffs that year. It only seems like yesterday ended the season with 4 straight losses. Win over Monroe helped propel Dougherty into the playoffs. To Jenkins out of Savannah, 31-14 in the first round of the Class AAA playoffs. And in case you wanted to know, and Jenkins finished the season at 10-2 overall, losing to eventual state champion Cedar Grove 28-3, I should say, in the first round of the state playoffs in AAA. So I think the key to victory for both, and I'm predicting a low scoring game for Dougherty and Westover this week. So key to victory will be, I think, which team will make the big plays when they need to make them, or which team can make the fewest mistakes. I think the team that makes the big plays as well as the fewest mistakes, I think that's the team that's going to win that game. And Dougherty and Monroe this Friday at Hugh Mills Stadium. And I think the winner of that game will have a huge leg up as far as advancing to the playoffs. And the other game in GHSA Region 1 AAA this week, the Cook Hornets out of Adel, Georgia at 1-4 overall will travel to Sylvester, Georgia to face the Worth County Rams. You got the 1-4 Hornets doing battle against the winless Rams coming in at 0-6 overall. And Cook has started the season at 0-4, losing to Brooks County, losing to a Brooks County team that's undefeated at 4-0. And the Hornets fell on August 18th, 21-0. Lost to a Tift County team that's also undefeated in Tift County, and dominating opponents so far, sitting at 7-0. And also, the 31-7 loss to Cook was on August 25th. Also lost to Brunswick on August 31st, a Thursday night game, 53-7. And Brunswick sitting at 3-1. It's Wayne County, canceled due to effects of Hurricane Irma. And to Thomasville, and unlike the losses, unlike the games against Brunswick, Tift County, and Brooks County, gave the Bulldogs all they could handle before losing 40-34 on Friday, September 22nd in Thomasville. And Thomasville sitting had a bye last week after escaping with that win over Cook. And last week only won a game as it crushed Early County 49-13. So it's not like and so Cook's overall record might say 1-4, or Cook's overall record might say 1-4, but it's not like it's a loss to some slouch teams. They played some very, very good teams, and combined for just one loss altogether. So Cook's played a very tough schedule. Those that playing that tough schedule might play off getting into region play. The Rams team, and they're closing in on 9 o'clock, 8:59 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. To the Georgia High School Football Roundup podcast, Walter Johnson. And before moving along, reminder, you can visit the Southwest Georgia Network website at southwestgeorgianetwork.com. Well, there you can listen to previous podcasts and a few written articles, and also subscribe on Twitter at SWGA Network, Southwest Georgia Network on Twitter, at SWGA Network, and so there's a link to our Georgia Network YouTube channel, which you're listening to live or replay of the podcast a little bit later if you so choose. It's the part of the broadcast or podcast. Again, remember to follow the Southwest Georgia Network on Twitter, SWG Network, and listen live or on demand on YouTube. And mentioning the Cook County in Sylvester, and while Cook is coming off its first win over Early County last week, and the Rams had last week off, trying to bounce. Well, actually, didn't have last week off. They had a bye in between their game, loss to Thomasville, 76-20 on September 15th, and then had the bye, as I mentioned. And then last week, after losing 44-13 at Harris County, and the Rams under first-year head coach Ben Simmons put up a lot of points, losing 30-13 to Thomas County Central at home on August 18th, losing at home as well to Turner County 27-13, losing at Veterans up in Houston County, Georgia, in the Mid-State 27-13, lost at Early County 36-4. Thomasville 76-20. Then after the bye week, then last week on September 29th, lost 44-13. And so the Rams jumped right into the fray in this GHSA Region 1 AAA. And the Monroe game. And that game will, get very well. Where that game will make a serious run of the playoff berth. So, very well make a serious run of the playoff berth, and then it's been a rough go of it for all the teams in GHSA Region 1 AAA. County Cougars out of Cordele, Georgia. Cook at 1-4 overall. Cook out of Adel, Georgia, and Monroe from here in Albany, both set at 1-4 overall. Dougherty 1-5, and Worth County team that's winless at 0-6. That's So for those of you listening, they're doing the math at home. Just 3 wins, 19 losses. That's a very miserable, non-miserable record on region games. If you throw in Crisp County's overall record of 4-1 to do 10 wins against 20 losses. So it's been a rough go of it in the non-region portion of the season for GHSA Region 1 AAA. As I said before, in play, all that changes. I mean, everybody starts 0-0. Start with a clean slate. So for Cook and Worth County, in the slate will start clean for them for those 4 teams this week. And so at least 3 or maybe all 4 of those teams could easily make the playoffs if they win at least one region game. Or they could just get hot and get on a really serious roll. Not only make the playoffs, but possibly win a region championship. It's just like another one of those old sayings: anything is possible. And moving on to the Crisp County Cougars. And coming off a tough loss. And the Cougars coming off a tough loss to Brooks County. 21 down in Quitman, Georgia last week. And also the first from head coach Brad Harbor with a B, spelled H-A-R. And Harbor replaced Shelton Felton during the offseason, and Felton left to become an assistant coach at University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. And the Cougars, I should say, dropped from the team in the state to number 8 this week, according to the Georgia High School Football Daily poll. And Patrick Felton, the quarterback for Crisp County, finished 10 out of 17 in passing attempts, 157 yards and 2 touchdowns. Unfortunately, though, the Cougars minus 6 yards in the rushing department, and that didn't get the job done for Crisp County, sadly. And as for Brooks County, in their their slightly double-digit win over Crisp County. Tim White rushed for 180 yards and 2 scores on these. Also had a pick 6 and returning that interception, 35 yards for. And that gave Brooks County a 31-14 lead in the fourth quarter. And it's also Brooks County's first win against a ranked opponent in a higher classification since 2013. When the Trojans out of Quitman, Georgia, and Brooks County jumps right into GHSA Region 1AA action at Early County this week. And before item on tonight's high school football roundup podcast, and looking at the remaining games for Monroe. Of course, sorry for Dougherty. Of course, the big game for the Trojans will be against the Monroe Tornadoes on Friday, October 6th, this Friday. And the remaining schedule for host Cook on Friday the 13th, and then the home finale against Worth County, and then travel up to Cordele to take on Crisp County. If Dougherty can knock off Monroe in a row, and home games against Cook and Worth County, division games number 2 and 3, potentially go to 3-0 in the region. Regular season finale at Crisp County, but like I said, first things first. I mean, you have to beat Monroe first, and then go from there. As for the Monroe, what it looks like for the Tornadoes, starting, I should say, next week, and then those welcome the Crisp County Cougars on Friday, October 13th, and then after another bye week, like Monroe's had several of them, the Tornadoes will play up to 9 regular season games. They'll travel to Sylvester to face Worth County, and then go down to Adel, Georgia to face Cook. wrap up the regular season. Dougherty, a win over Dougherty could followed up by a potential upset win over Crisp County. Monroe, as far as getting in, pressing themselves into the playoff discussion, the postseason, and some other items to on round out the show. GHSA Region 1 single A. And looking at the standings there, Mitchell County, the top two teams in that league, and there really not much change. And the Eagles Randolph Clay up in Cuthbert, Georgia, winning 63-22. And that's for the Hornets. And they won their fifth straight game. County. And it was the Hornets' second straight win. As single digits. And on September 22nd, escaped with a 42-38 win over Miller County down in Colquitt, Georgia. In Chattahoochee County last week down in Camilla. We actually down in Pelham, Georgia. And Pelham 121-18. Just a 3-point win for Pelham week. And Pelham has this week off. And on the 13th against Randolph Clay. 13th and Mitchell County is also off this week, and we'll be back in action at Seminole County. County on Saturday, October 21st, and we'll face Carter on Friday, October 22nd, and then face Pelham. Eventually decide the GHSA Region 1 Single A Championship outright. On November 3rd. And as for Pelham, for those folks that are looking ahead to has to look forward to the rest of the way. Home against Randolph Clay on the 13th. On the 20th, and then against Seminole County. Facing up against Seminole County. And wrapping up at Mitchell County. Third. And that game could very well decide the Region 1 for a single A title. It's and looking at those standings there, 5-1 in the region, both 5 undefeated region play at 5-0, and Hornets sitting at 5-1 overall, and then Seminole County sitting at 3-2 in the region, 3-1 in the region, I should say. Seminole County on the road against Calhoun County Friday. And the remaining games, home against Mitchell County and Beacon Charter, then wrapping up with road games at Miller County. The rest of the Region 1 Single A standings, both 3-2 in the region. In Chattahoochee County, both 2-2 in region, 2-3 overall. Calhoun County 1-3, 1-4. 4 in Region 1 and 5 overall. Bacon and Charter and Stewart County, both winless in the region at 0 and 4. 1 and 4 overall. Batala Charter, playing another out of Edison, Georgia, just west, about 8+ miles west of Albany. Region schedule. Still sitting at 1 and 4. And the top 24 teams, and the teams that are ranked in the public school file rankings, GHSA Class Single A, public schools in that subclassification. If Class Single A will advance to the playoffs. And how about a quick look at GHSA Region 2 Single A, Irwin County, out of Osceola, Georgia. And now sitting all alone in first place in that league. 5-1 overall after a 48-27 win at Charlton County, the Florida border, and encompassing the Okefenokee Swamp and Irwin County. Won easily over Charlton County, 40-27. Like I said, is now all alone. Possession of first place at 3-0 in the region, 5-1 overall. Charlton County, two-way tie with Clinch County and Turner County. Those three teams are 2-1 in the region. Charlton's 4-1 overall. Clinch, Turner County. So at 4-2 overall. Those are the top 4 teams in GHSA region. And again, 4 doesn't in the region doesn't guarantee berth. You have to finish in the top 24 power rankings. Kind of single A public school sub-classification / subdivision, if you will. 2 single A standings. GHSA Region 2 single A standings. Telfair County, 1 and 2 in the region, 2 and 4 overall. Telfair County is 2 and 4 overall. Atkinson County at 1 and 5 overall. And Lear County, Wilcox County, winless in LA. Here in Wilcox, sitting at 1 and 4. And not least, how about GHSA Region 3 AAA? Take a look at the GHSA schools. The Windsor Knights picking up a huge win, pulling off the upset over previously undefeated the Golden Raiders out of Americus, Georgia. The final score, 20. Southland 17, 20-17. Deerfield Windsor pulls off the upset over Academy. Deerfield goes to more importantly, they start GHSA Regional undefeated at 1-0. First place with Valwood. And at the Pinewood lost at Pinewood. It's 22-14. Number 15th. Looking at Deerfield's remaining schedule, the Knights' remaining schedule under veteran head coach Alan Lowe. And the Knights will hit the road to tiny Chula, Georgia, just north of Tifton, to take on the Tifton Area Academy Panthers, and then host Valwood on Friday the 13th. The finale coming on 20th. Georgia taking on Brookwood. So if the Knights can and it's such a big win. That's a big win for Alan Lowe and the Deerfield Windsor Knights. Knocking off a previously undefeated team like Southland. Are now GHSA Region 3 AAA 6-1 overall. That's a huge win, huge momentum boost end of the season. Going into and try to avoid that big letdown on the road, and then hosting a very solid Valwood team. Only losses came to Autauga Academy out of Prattville, Alabama. Way back on August 12th. Losing on the road to North Florida Christian out of Tallahassee, Florida on September 1st, 18-13. Speaking of Valwood, the Valiants have pitched a couple of shutouts their last two games in crushing Clearwater Academy out of Alabama, 36-0 on September 15th, and then there's contest. The Valiants went on the road and shut out the Brookwood down in Thomasville, 27-0. We'll be back at it against Southland. And then in the regular season for the GHSA team started way back on August 11th, and the GHSA schools got a 1 week jump. GHSA schools had a 1 week jump in their parts. I think the bottom line for Deerfield Windsor, a big win over Southland Academy. If they can if they can go into the Tift area and come back home to Albany, and they would be set up, and they would be 2-0 in the region, 2-0 in GHSA Region 3 AAA, going into that against Valwood, and Valwood would be at home against Southland, and then the Valiants would come to Albany, for that big game. It's going to be it's obviously a big game. Going to be a big game regardless. And just a couple of years ago, Valwood and Deerfield making, and the Valiants rally to knock off the Knights that night championship. If both teams with wins this Friday, I should say. That game could potentially be even bigger than it already is. How about a quick look at GHSA Region play? Got Southwest Georgia Academy, 5-2 overall. Taking away the result of their game against Fullington Academy, Tiny Pinehurst, Georgia, and Dooley County on September 15th. Southwest Georgia Academy, or SGA, is 5-2 overall, 1-0 in 3 AA, just 3 teams there. 34-0 shutout win at Westwood back on September 22nd, and then they rolled past Springwood Academy out of Lynette, Alabama. And 50-9 the final score. And they host the Patala Charter, GHSA Region 1 Single A Patala Charter out of Edison, Georgia, and a non-region contest on October 6th. Season on Friday the 13th. Academy decide the region title for the Warriors out of tiny Damascus, Georgia, which pretty much hugs the Calhoun line. Southwest Georgia, about an hour and a half or so from Albany. And as for Terrell Academy in Westwood, and the Eagles are off this week, and then they wrap up the regular season on the 13th at SGA, and then they'll travel to Camilla to face Westwood on the 20th. And Westwood 2-5 overall, and the Wildcats actually started the season with back-to-back wins, 59-6 rout Presbyterian Christian on August 11th, and then won at Windsor Academy. Windsor Academy out of Macon, Georgia, August 18th. And all downhill for the Wildcats. Since then, road to Southland 44-6. Georgia Military College 28-21. Trinity Christian out of Sharpsburg, Georgia 62-0. Brookwood out of Thomasville, Georgia 24-7. And then it's 34-0. Home to Southwest Georgia Academy to and they'll hit the road to face Edmund Burke Friday, October 6th, and then the Wildcats finish the regular season at home with a non-region contest against Flint River Academy, host Terrell Academy, to close out the regular season on Friday, October 20th. And where that game could at least get a split at a region contest. And one other and how about one more quick item of interest before out edition of the Georgia High School, the High School Football Roundup podcast. And so one, and how about a quick look at GHSA Region 1-7A in the Tift County now 7-0 on the season after rolling past Fitzgerald 35-14 week, and Colquitt County now 6-1. This is 6-0 after a 37-6 win over Ware County, and was the Vikings' first road game all season. And they'll wrap up non-region play against now Zion of Jonesboro and Colquitt County, going to 6-1 after rolling past Bishop Sullivan out of Virginia Beach, Virginia. Richard Sullivan, perennial powers team in Virginia. Tift County and Colquitt are off this week. So GHSA Region 1AA and Berrien, after their best start in quite some time at 4-2, will host Thomasville, and the Bulldogs at 5-0 after escaping with a 40-34 win at Cook. And huge, and Berrien's already 1-0 in the region. Win at Early County 34-13 on September 22nd. County, the other undefeated team, Open region going to Blakely, Georgia against the Early County Bobcats. For this edition of the RoundUp podcast, and remember on Twitter at SWGA Network, on Listen Live, YouTube, ever on demand on YouTube. So remember to click the red rectangular button to subscribe, and then click the bell to get notifications, content, your hosts. And this has been the High School Football Roundup podcast. Have a good evening.